Hi Silem stars, you're welcome back to my channel. Silem here. In today's video I'm going to show you guys how to make a transparent corset with a yoke and a plunging neckline. I also have a tutorial on the wrapper illusion, this front wrapper illusion you can see right here on the screen. I'm going to leave the link to that tutorial, but in this video we're going to focus on the corset parts. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Hey, I didn't see you there.
So now we're starting off with drafting the corset. Now this is my pattern paper. I'm going to start with drafting the front first. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a baseline at the top of my paper. After drawing the baseline, I'm going to mark the armhole line 8 inches, bust point 12 inches, under bust 15 inches, and the waistline 19 inches. Okay, so those are the marks that you see on my paper right here. I'm just marking the waistline now, which is 19 inches, and then I'm going to extend all of those lines. Okay, I'm going to mark the same thing on the other part. So 8 inches, 12 inches, 15 inches, and 19 inches. Then I'm going to extend all of those lines. After extending the lines, I'm going to label them chest line, bust point, under bust, and waistline, or half length line, whichever one you want to call it. Now on the baseline, I'm going to divide the shoulder measurements by 2, and I'm going to mark that on the baseline. I'm also going to mark that same measurement on the chest line, and then I'm going to connect both points with a straight line. And then for my neck width, I'm going to use 3 inches for the width, and for the depth I'm also going to use 3 inches. You can decide how wide and how deep you want your neckline to be, okay? But this is how I want the neckline to be. Remember that this neckline is for the yoke, okay? We're still going to put the plunging neckline. Now from the baseline downwards, I'm going to mark 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect that to the neck width to create my shoulder slope. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the distance from that shoulder slope down to the chest line, and then I'm going to get the midpoint of that. At that midpoint, I'm going to go in by half an inch, and then I'm going to use my curved ruler to connect the shoulder slope, the half an inch, and the chest line. Okay, so by the time I connect all 3 points with a curve, that will give me my armhole, as you can see right now. Now for this corset, we're going to be using a ready-made bra cup. Okay, so we're not going to be creating our own bra cup. I have a tutorial on how to create your own bra cup if you want, but for this tutorial we're going to be using a ready-made bra cup. I'm using size 48 for this because my client's bust is 45. Okay, so I went up, and then I'm using a size 48 for this, just so that I have very good coverage. So now I'm just placing the cup on that under bust line, but as you can see, I did not place the cup straight. I'm slanting the cup slightly so that the top of the cup gets to the chest line and it gives that sweetheart effect. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in from the center front by half an inch, and I'm doing this on the bust point line. Now I'm going to go back and place my cup, making sure that the bottom of the cup touches the under bust line. Okay, and I also made sure that the top of the cup touched the chest line. After that, I'm just marking the part of my cup that's very close to the center front line. I just marked where my cup, the top of my cup close to that center front is. That's why I came down a bit from the bust point. Now I'm just drawing a diagonal line from that point all the way to the edge of the paper. So can you see what we did here? And then once I have this placed, it has to be placed like this, okay, to get that plunging neckline effect. Now I'm just going ahead to just mark the outline of the cup all the way around. Remember, your cup, the bottom part of your cup must touch the under bust, the top must touch the chest line, and then make sure that it's slanted before you mark that outline. Okay, so once you're done with that, you want to go in now. So just go up from that line you marked, go up by half an inch. So just keep going up by half an inch and then mark that all the way around. Okay, After marking it, I'm going to go back and place my cup, and then I'm going to mark the top part of my cup. Okay, so just mark the top part of your cup. So follow the outline of the top of your cup all the way and just connect it like so. So this is what we have. Can you see? Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mark our normal body measurements. Now this is a dartless corset, so we're not going to be putting any darts. The reason is because you're using a ready-made cup and you don't need to add a dart. Okay, trust me, it is perfect without darts. So I just marked my bust point on the chest line and I added only half an inch allowance. This is a transparent corset, you don't want to add a lot of allowance. On the half length line, I simply marked my waist measurements and then I added only half an inch allowance, and I'm connecting that to the bust line like so. Now as you can see, I'm making a half scale corset. I'm not making a full corset, like a full length corset. But if you're making a full length corset, all you have to do is just mark your hip measurements at the hem, add your half an inch, and then connect that to your waist with a curve. All right, so you don't need to, do too much. This is what you're going to do if you're making a full length corset. Now after cutting out my front piece, I'm going to place my front piece on another piece of paper and I'm going to use that to cut my back piece. Okay, now for the back neckline, I went up by 1 inch. So my back neckline, the depth is 2 inches, but the width is the same for the front. Okay, then I just separated that. So this is my back piece now. Now the first thing I'm going to do to the back piece is I'm going to just extend that chest line. I just decided I want the yoke for the back to have a slanted look. That's why I just came down a bit. Now from the neck, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches because my piece is going to have a button, and then from the center back there I'm going to go in by 4 inches and then I'm going to mark that. Okay, because I want my yoke to have an opening and then I want a button to be at the top. So I'm just going to connect both points with a curve like so. Now obviously this corset doesn't have zipper allowance because we're not going to be adding a zipper. However, we are still going to cut a bit of the back. So I just went in by 2 inches. All right, I went in by 2 inches at the top there, and then at the bottom I'm also going to go out as well by 1 inch. You can also use 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to connect both points with a diagonal line. And that's it for the drafting of our back piece. So I'm just going to cut that out. This is what the back looks like after we're done drafting. We're also going to go ahead now and cut the front as well. So just pay attention to the lines that I'm cutting so you don't get confused. And this is what our front piece looks like after cutting. Now for my transparent corset, I'm going to be using a crepe fabric. It matches my client's skin tone. I'm also going to be using a corset mesh, and then I'm using a regular skin mesh. Okay, so this is the normal skin net. Now this is my corset mesh. It is actually thick. It's kind of like organza, but it's thicker than organza. It's very strong and it's not stretchy. So this is what you want to use for your transparent corset. Okay, it gives you that snatched effect. Do you understand? If you use a regular skin net, it's not going to hold, it's going to rip when you try to snatch it, but this one will give you that snatched effect. So now I'm going ahead to just cut all my pieces. Now I'm going to be doubling my corset mesh. Okay, so I'm going to be doubling it so that it is sturdy and strong. Okay, if you use only one layer, it's not going to be as strong as you want it to be, because you don't want it to rip when your client is trying to snatch their waist. Okay, I'm not adding any more allowance. Remember, I've already added all of my allowances while drafting, so you don't need to add any allowance when you're transferring to your fabric. Okay, so these are the front and back pieces cut out. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and cut our yoke, and for the yoke we're going to be using the skin net, okay, or the skin mesh. Now I'm also doubling the skin net also so that it is strong enough to withstand pressure and is strong enough for it to be used over time. You don't want to use only one layer so it's too light. So I'm just going ahead now to just cut. Now for the skin net, I'm just leaving half an inch allowance on that shoulder just so that it allows me to join. When you're cutting your skin net, you also want to think about the direction that your skin net is stretching. Place your pattern in such a way that your skin net is stretching from side to side and not top to bottom. So just on the shoulder, the bottom part of the yoke, I also left half an inch while I was transferring. Now to get the piece we're going to use to cover our cups, I'm just going ahead to measure my bra cup from one side to the other side. Now for the cover for the bra cup, I'm going to be using my crepe fabric, to cut that cover for the bra cup. Remember I measured 10 inches on my cup, so I just divided 10 inches by 2 and that gave me 5 inches. I folded my piece like I'm cutting a flare. I folded it horizontally and then vertically, and then I just marked that 5 inches all the way around, just the same way you would cut a flare. Then once I opened it once, this is what I have. I'm now going to measure this piece from top to bottom, and then I'm going to get the midpoint. All right, so the midpoint I have here now is 5.5. Now I'm just going to go in from the fold by 1.5 inches and going from the fold at the top by 1.5 inches as well. And then I'm going to connect the point at the top with that of the center, and the point at the center with that of the bottom. Okay, so just connect all 3 points together like so, and then go ahead and cut it out. Now when you're cutting, try to make it curved and not boxy. Okay, now make sure you cut 4 pieces for each cup because you're going to be using the same fabric as the fabric and the lining. In my next video, I'm going to show you guys how to sew this from start to finish. So subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Bye.